Hey, how you doing? I wanted to talk about three groups of people who are being severely impacted by coronavirus, and it has actually nothing to do with the virus itself. I'm talking about the way that we are addressing this situation, at least here in where I live in Los Angeles. But this is another, this is a way we're addressing it pretty much in many places around the world, and that's some really strong social isolation. Here we call it safer at home and so forth, whatever terminology you use wherever you're living. Um, and the groups of people that I'm thinking about where this is a challenge tremendously for their physical and emotional health would be people who have high anxiety, people who have bouts of severe depression, and people who are addicts in recovery. Those three groups of people absolutely need to be in face to face human relationship and contact in order for them to be healthy as possible. So here's what I mean. Our brain chemicals that are released during times of high stress, during times of severe depression, those particular, our cortisol levels shoot way up. And cortisol levels shooting way up is very bad. Basically, cortisol levels shooting up destroys healthy brain growth. And one of the things we know from brain research now is that our brains are constantly growing new brain cells, even though it certainly slows down a lot since we're a baby. But also, immunity systems are negatively affected in a powerful way in the increase in cortisol. And one of the things that an increase in cortisol does is it also destroys, it really wrecks sleep patterns. And poor sleep brings about, again, way less immunity to things like the viruses of coronavirus. So, as we continue to go along with this social isolation and this, stay at home and so forth, please remember people that you know who tend to have more of a high anxiety response in stress. People that you know who are at times affected by severe depression, and find ways to contact them, find ways to talk, find ways to get in touch with them. I mean, you can, phone calls, um, and video, conferencing or chatting, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever. But also, uh, you know, see if they'll go for a walk with you, uh, because these are people that are really being affected by this, and we don't really notice. And I mentioned addicts because people in recovery, absolutely, the research is crystal clear that it's far more effective if they're in relationship with other people than if they're trying to go it alone. Um, and so, once again, if you know somebody who's in recovery, give them a call. See if you can set up a time where you guys or gals could go for a walk. All of this within the guidelines, the safe guidelines, and so forth. But in your prayer life, I would pray specifically that the Lord would find ways not only to bring healing in our communities, but find ways to guide people who make decisions about social isolation and quarantining and all that, that they would make proper decisions and begin to find ways to at least lift some of these restrictions in terms of contact, to be able to do it in a safe and timely manner where um, groups such as the three that I mentioned have such a high vulnerability to negative effects